Okay.
Well, today I am more than honored and feel so privileged because today I have Carol Olivia Adams joining me and joining you, our guests. So Carol Adams has been an AM radio host on the show The Matter of the Heart. She has also been a host on television, video, internet radio, and a podcast host. Carol has interviewed people like Dr. Bernie Siegel, Bruce Lipton, and Kelly, and I can't even pronounce her name. I think it's Carlin it's Carlin. Kelly Carlin. Yes, the daughter of George Carlin, and many more reputable guests. Carol is known as a great interviewer, which I can attest to, who gets to the depth of the guest with all questions asked. She is also a very highly intuitive counselor, author, and artist. Carol believes the heart is the strongest vessel for the truth of life. And a quote here from Carol is, "The human heart feels things the eyes cannot see and knows what the mind cannot understand." And that is from Robert Valet. Now, I am, as I said, so honored to have you with us, Carol. I've known you for a couple of years through your podcast, and I've had the honor of being on your podcast. So I just want to dig in deep here, and I want to know, Carol, what motivated you? Because the name of your podcast, right? The Heartfelt, like what motivated you to become a podcast host?
Well, I think everything in life is steps, The Matter of the Heart was the name of the show on the radio and podcast. But I think everything in life is steps. So the first step was I felt, again, according to your beautiful introduction, that the intuitive part of us is, for me, is the strongest vessel that we have. So I intuitively felt, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, probably 5, to be on radio. But prior to that, I was on internet radio. And then I went to AM. And then after that, I went to podcasts. I think I was driven because I really love to interview.
Right.
And I've also, everybody gets compliments, and I've gotten many compliments. And I like to really, in other words, you can have somebody as a guest, right, Golly and listeners, but you want to learn more about them as human beings.
Yes.
As well, the topic that they want to convey to listeners.
Absolutely.
So I think it looks at everything, the heart.
The heart, yes. And I know from following you on Facebook, and I see you commenting on various posts, and it's always, your comments are so deeply felt by myself, and I'm sure others. You have this very, well, definitely intuitive, but very prolific. You have a very profound depth to you. And so when you were in radio, were you able to convey that? Were you able to, do that, to be able to reach your audience with your heart as you did with your podcast?
Well, I think they both of them have the same, they're different tools.
Right.
But it's the same format, so to speak,
right.
template. So, I became very, very familiar with Dr. Bernie Siegel. And he's been on a lot of my podcasts and radio. It's hard to explain, but you can feel their heart, heart. It's all about their heart, and you want to dig it. You don't want to accept a blank fact. You
Right.
want to go underneath of that to get to where they're coming from with their heart.
Right.
And that's what I was pretty known for.
So how did that whole journey begin for you? Because there has to be a point somewhere in your life, whether it was in childhood or teenagers or, when you really, really were able to become very intuitively connected to your heart and to follow that path of the heart? In other words, what had to be there for you? Because I find it very fascinating that you did follow your heart, right?
You know, intuition, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, you have a very strong sense of your intuition, and you do intuitive readings, right?
Yes, I do. I connected somebody with their total birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, and happy late birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I didn't know it was your birthday, so I just thought.
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
I connect to the zodiac sign,
Right.
and the zodiac sign is the sun sign. And to me, that's the root of the tree. But then we have personal planets around that,
Right.
and the moon is, to me, and again, this is my own interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Is how you feel secure with the heart. Mercury is a planet of communication and how you communicate. Some people communicate with the heart. Some people communicate. If somebody's got Mercury in Virgo, they're going to be very detailed.
Right.
If somebody's going to have Mercury in Pisces, they're going to be maybe a little bit la la land. You want to ground them a little,
Yeah.
The Venus, what I'm saying? The Venus is, to me, how you want love received and how you're comfortable with it. And your Mars is, to me, your ideal mate or your energy.
Oh.
So I'm pretty accurate with that stuff because I used to match people up when they got married. So
really?
Anybody can give me their total. Oh, it's very obvious. Very obvious. I mean, we have the two political candidates, or let's say three.
Right.
But, including, and it's obvious. So obvious. What their sun sign is.
Okay.
I mean, Trump is Gemini.
Oh, okay.
So, and he has a lot of Leo in him.
Oh, no doubt.
So his rising sign, right, is Leo, and his Mars is Leo. So he needs to be number one and it needs to be appreciated.
Okay.
I won't go into the whole thing. And his Venus is in Cancer. That's his home base. So whenever he says America first, that's his home in his own way,
Okay.
America first, the home. Now, Harris is Libra.
Okay.
But he was born on a full moon. And so was he, by the way. They were both born on a full moon.
Oh, and how does that make a difference?
Well, when you're born on a full moon, there's a little conflict going on emotionally.
Okay.
Just like, what, there's a full moon and you're outside, you can feel the vibes, but the full moon means that they're 6 months apart. In other words, her sun sign is in Libra, 6 months apart is in Aries. So that creates more of a tension, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
That moon in Aries with her. And again, I'm not aligning myself with anybody. This is just an intuitive interpretation.
Right. No, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Her moon in Aries can be actually insecure.
Okay.
And fight. So she might not always, Libra's known for partnerships, good or bad. But since she's got that Aries moon, it's very possible people don't last long with her,
Oh, okay.
in her ministry, because that moon is Aries. That's about me.
Right.
And Aries likes to fight, and they're impulsive.
Right.
So, that could create issues. No question about it's going to create issues.
Well,
now, Biden.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
I was just going to say on that, that is so profound what you just said, because I've noticed, I've only seen little snippets of both of them recently. And I just had this feeling she's always like defending herself. Like,
yeah, that's it.
It's like this defensiveness. And I'm going, just chill out, honey. Like, what are you so defensive over?
Right.
Oh,
and she had to have Walt with her in the interview.
Right.
Who said nothing. But that was her insecurity.
Oh. Very interesting, Carol.
Isn't that? Yeah, now
Mm.
you got a Biden, and his son is up for who knows what he's going to get.
Mm.
But Joey over there has a lot of Scorpio in him,
Oh.
and Scorpios like to hide. They don't trust so easily.
Mm.
So who knows what's underneath his covers? Because he also alleged that he knew nothing about his son's business
Right.
association. Well, you don't have to be Einstein to figure that out.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I mean, they would talk every day. Anybody could believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you look at all of the, very interesting when you look, also the sun is Aquarius,
Oh.
and the father is Aquarius. The father is Scorpio, which is 6'9", can be
Mm-hmm.
stubborn. Aquarius can be stubborn,
Right.
and they're out of the box. They're usually out of the box. They're going to do whatever they want to do.
Oh, yeah, believe
You
me, I
know,
know. I have a daughter that's an Aquarian.
and you can't push her, otherwise she'll go the other way.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I gave up that years ago.
Okay.
But you're so right on, because what you're talking about, which, with regards to this, that's like, and what you were mentioning about the fact about the marriage part, that fascinates me, that you actually have had people come together through you.
Yes, when I had my antique store, I would meet a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and I would do it. But also now I can do it. In other words, what's really important, I find, is first of all, the Mercury is really important. Right? Mercury is communication.
Right.
So if somebody's Mercury is in, let's say, Leo,
Right.
and the other person's Mercury is in Pisces,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be very difficult because
Mm.
that Mercury in Leo needs attention and needs to feel appreciated.
Okay.
The Mercury in Pisces can, again, this la la land stuff,
Right.
and not realize that their partner needs that appreciation.
Wow.
The Mars is also interesting because that's in the woman's chart, the ideal mate and the sexual energy.
Mm-hmm.
I can also tell somebody that it's going to be sexually, more sensual. It's very obvious. It's going to be a compatibility.
Well,
You look at the also. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is so fascinating to me. Just keep going, because I have people that have been talking to me recently about about finding somebody that they can get a proper and they've used the word intuitive chart done.
Oh, I love doing that.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is like, hello. Yeah. So go ahead. Tell me more, because some of these people that have been talking to me about this will be listening to this. So, absolutely the connection we will, leave to the end here, but you will, I will connect people to you through this, but please tell us more. I mean, it's because it's so important.
Well, the moon is important. The moon is important.
Okay.
Because the moon is how you feel, right? It's your heart and how you feel secure with the heart. Now,
Okay.
let's say somebody has a moon in, let's say, moon in Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
Well, moon in Scorpio versus, let's say, a moon in Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
So one person has moon in Scorpio, the other person has moon in Aquarius, okay? It doesn't matter if male or female to me. I don't look at necessarily the gender, but the heart of the two. All right, so moon in Scorpio, and I see this all the time, doesn't trust so easily. They just don't. They're not going to come out and say, I don't know, I love you. It's any emotional thing so easily. They're going to be a detective with it. They're going to look through it, and they're going to be very, very cautious.
Wow.
Now, moon in Aquarius is something really to dig into, because moon in Aquarius can alienate easily. Now, again, it depends on the Venus and the Mars,
right,
and the other personal planets. So I'm just pinpointing one, because I look at the total personal.
Right.
But if somebody's moon is Aquarius, okay, you could say, Carly, I had a very bad pain in my leg.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have Moon in Aquarius, you're going to say, well, what's the weather like? In other words, there's no connection. They don't connect to what you say, because they can alienate very easily.
Oh, wow.
Again, this depends on the Venus and the Mars, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
And Mercury and the sun sign. We're just pinpointing one. But then I see this very often, actually. I have my cousin, a sweetheart, but she's got 3 Pisces. It's like a puzzle, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the puzzle.
Okay, yeah.
She's got 3 Pisces and 2 Aquarius.
Right.
All right. So that puzzle, what is it? Already you've got lots of la-la land.
Yeah.
And with the alienation, right?
Right.
So already you've got something. Now, she's been seeing somebody for several years.
Okay.
Again, she's a loving person. But he's unfortunately an alcoholic. I told her, do you ever tell him to go to AA,
Mm-hmm.
And her comment, because of the Pisces and Aquarius, was not my responsibility.
Oh, okay. Well.
So in other words, she's alienating from it.
Right. Is that denial?
And being in la-la land.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it could be a form of denial, because I know you're in the, a lot in the psychological aspects. We have a beautiful profile. But, I mean, I really swear by the total birth. I really, really, really swear. The most popular sign for president, Leo.
Mm-hmm. Really?
They need to lead.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, it's
They need
interesting.
to feel appreciated.
It's interesting, Carol, that you mentioned that, because I'm a Leo, but there's a but here. And I don't want to make this, about me, but since we're talking about this, I have 7 planets in the 12th house, and 5 of them are in Leo.
Mm-hmm.
And my Pluto is in Leo in the 1st house. And my Venus is in Cancer.
Oh. Well, that's all I was asking. Your Venus is in Cancer. Where's your Mars?
My Mars is in Cancer in the 12th house. Or no, my Mars is in Leo in the 12th house.
So you've got Venus in Cancer, Mars is in Leo. Where's your moon?
My moon is in Capricorn in the 5th house.
Well, that's interesting, because my moon is in Capricorn.
Oh, is it?
So that's another thing. Yes. I have Sun, Moon, and Mars in Capricorn. So that's another thing. When you know somebody's moon, and it's the same, sometimes you couldn't call that easily a soul connection. Whatever type of relationship it is. It could be political, it could be friendship, or whatever it is.
Right.
It's deep.
It is, yeah.
With your Mercury.
It's in the 12th house in Leo.
Leo.
Yeah.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. Okay. But that sticks into Aquarius.
Mm-hmm. Aquarius is Chiron.
Whenever you have 3 or more of the same sign, it's called a stellium.
Yeah, I have that.
So you're getting some energy of the opposite sign, which is Aquarius. So you need to connect to people.
Mm-hmm. My daughter's an Aquarian.
And feel the appreciation of the connection.
Mm-hmm.
You need definitely to connect to people through your work.
Yeah.
Through friends. If you feel lonely, you go to the supermarket and talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm. It's been a very interesting ride. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, good, because it was silent for a few minutes.
For a few minutes there, yeah. I'm just listening. I'm enthralled. Oh my goodness. It's fascinating. It really is, because how does, I'm looking back at my relationship with my husband, my ex-husband, right? And I'm going, I don't know his chart at all, but I just, with all this that you're talking about, I go, how does anybody ever make it in a relationship without knowing your compatibility?
Yeah, I agree with that. And the the other thing about it is, you know how to navigate it.
Right?
If somebody has a lot of stubborn signs in them, well, you're not going to be able to navigate so easily, right?
Right. Okay.
If somebody has more flexible signs, you can negotiate more. You can have more of an understanding.
Right.
A very stubborn sign I find is Taurus. And
Oh,
again, out there, if you're Taurus, when just looking at the sun sign, you can have a lot of water signs, and all of a sudden that squashes the stubbornness. But,
oh,
just psychologically, stubbornness can come across as being self-oriented
okay.
because they're not open, right, to connect.
Right.
They're only into what they want. They don't see beyond the clouds, so to speak. They don't see the rain. But you learn how to navigate. That's the essence of it. And sometimes you realize it might be just darn difficult.
Yeah. And what are the most stubborn signs then?
Well, again, just the sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
We have Aquarius, we have Leo, we have Taurus, and Scorpio.
Wow.
But again, if we know the rest of that total birthday, again, let's go back to a puzzle.
Right.
The other sign, like if you have a lot of water, that's more, adaptable. Water is always moving, right?
Right.
Everyone, there's the ripples. They're not still. There's movement. So if those stubborn signs have water signs connecting to it, then it's not as stubborn.
Oh, there's
so again,
a little bit of give.
To the total birth. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's a little give, a little flow happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Really? So I'm sort of like, I had so many questions, but with regards to so is it the moon compatibility that is the most important? Or is it, the Venus and the moon? Or
right. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know. It depends what type of a relationship, right? So if we're talking, I'm presuming talking about romance, because there's different types of relationships.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so let's zoom into the romance. What would be very important is the Venus, Mars, really all the five, not the five, Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus and Mars. And I look at it like as a crisscross, it's hard to explain it. But if somebody's Venus is in Leo, we'll say, and the other person's moon is in Leo, well, that's a connection there. You have to look at how the crisscross, where they're connecting, how they're connected.
Okay.
And you can really, I swear by it, you can really see, I was, at one time I had a few Virgo men, But when I look back, Virgo, everybody is, and again, this whole bad or good sign, is very, very mental, very analytical, very detailed. So if you're hungry for love from the heart, that's not the best sign you want to go to, because they're not going to open up with the heart. They'll open up with the mind, because they tend to be very smart, but they're not going to open up with the heart. Again, according to just that zodiac sign, because you got the other four signs in there, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also interesting because we're always evolving or transforming,
right?
And each part of our journey, as we evolve or transform, we are connecting to different people, messengers.
Exactly. Yes, and that's
right.
That's what this, the podcast is called. It's Transformative Conversations, and that's what I wanted to ask you. What does transformation, because to you, what does it mean to you? And you just were starting to talk about it there, and it was beautiful how you went into it. It's about how we're always evolving.
Well, I think transformation to me, it's just my own, is, first of all, I think every moment is transforming. Life is constant change. So I always look at a plant or a flower and how it starts. You put the seed, and you look at the petals and they open up. And every second or every minute or every hour is a transformation going on.
Right.
So when I look back at my life, I think the transformation for me toward today, was to achieve as much wisdom as possible about how life works. Because we can have a lot of philosophies and, Facebook, and we see all these posts, but a lot of them are just the same. I hate to say it.
Exactly.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. They're all the same.
Thank you. Yeah, they are.
So they're not transforming. And I look at one and say, oh, that again. And I know certain people who forget it, keep scrolling. So, what is the purpose of the transform? Well, I think to achieve wisdom, to understand life, to accept the moment. You're not stuck in anything. And it allows you to transform to the next step. If we're stuck with something in life, can't transform.
Right.
There's no growth. There's no self-growth, right? But the more we accept the moment, we just accept it. We can't do anything about it. That's why I don't like it when people use the word control a lot, because it doesn't think. You can have a whole list of things to do. And 2 days ago, my car just started because I needed a battery. So that list went out the window. So we can't, quote, control our journey. There's another energy, and it will always be another energy that is so powerful. And that is the director, the orchestra leader, however you want to put it, that has created the pattern, the timing of the universe.
Right.
And as we keep transforming, in a way, we're aligning ourselves with the timing and the pattern of the universe, because we're accepting the pattern. We're accepting the timing.
Exactly.
And then we can flow more like the ripples of the water, Right.
Rather than the resistance, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's what something I was going to ask you is like, because we're all on this journey through this thing called life, right? And we're all walking these, timelines of through time, and we all end up having some pivotal moments. What were some of yours? Like, what have been some of your really powerful pivotal moments when it was like so powerful? It was like those aha epiphany moments, like, whoa.
Well, I think we learn a lot through struggles. And those struggles can create more of an understanding of life. So my parents died when I was young. So I was forced to be on my own and independent.
Right.
And that pivotal moment was that there was no relative that came in to help.
Right.
So I was a mother to my brother. I took over a business, house. So I learned at that time, I guess I learned what the meaning of love is, and maybe that's what carries me through, because I also channel, and I channel the love spirit, about 100 pages.
Okay.
So love, spirit, and love. When you have a very challenging situation in life,
right?
Because I was young, maybe 20, so that created more steps in another direction. You know what I mean? It created more steps.
Oh, yeah,
in
for
another
sure.
direction.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah.
And so
that was one of
that would have been a huge moment. So you were around 20 at the time, did you say?
Yeah.
Well, and having to take on the responsibility. Wow. So were they?
Yes, I was going to Hunter College. There was a business I had to take over. My brother, I had to be motherly. I had to take adults' responsibilities.
Yeah. You had to grow up really fast.
So you had to grow up fast, and that was a transformation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
that I certainly didn't plan.
No. And
But we always have to respect the higher power,
yeah, well, exactly. And that's what I was going to say is that's, what happened in your life to bring you undoubtedly to the calling that you're still on, right?
Well, yes. And with that, if you have a challenging disease, the accident I had, that's also transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Because you learn, you dig deep, I did, into spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize, that if you don't pass, I don't want to say more, but the reason you don't pass is that you have more of a mission.
Right.
I think we all have a mission. And when we pass, I think it's because our mission has been is finished.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter the name of the disease. It doesn't matter.
No.
It's just the energy of it.
Can you explain
when
more?
you have a life challenging disease, that is also, it creates major transformation.
Can you extend on that a little bit more for our listeners so they can get a grasp of not necessarily, if you don't want to share what it is, but just how you are doing this, how, where you are gathering your strength, your courage, your serenity from?
At that time, and thank God it was about 12 or 13 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I listened, and I recommend it, a lot of spiritual music, uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was I Believe, I believe by every drop of rain, soul, the flowers. I read spiritual books. I would walk a lot. And I accepted it. I didn't resist it.
Right.
In other words, if I was about to die, I'm not in charge. I accepted it, changed some of my food habits, not that I ever had bad ones. But, I guess I transformed into more with the love energy and compassion. That's what I would say. That's compassion.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very big factor, very big key. Compassion, meaning people that struggle in life.
Right.
And there's all kinds of struggles, right?
Right.
Physical, emotional. That to understand how deep the waters are, how they swim it, and some can't swim it.
Right.
And some people give in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they do.
To understand the compassion level and more realize that I would say more and more the acceptance of life.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't come in. We're not going to leave on we're going to leave on our own, but there's all this power that we sometimes ignore, our spiritual partnership with the Creator, who has created our path for us.
Yeah, well, it's profound, isn't it? It's a deep, deep profoundness that a lot of people I don't think the majority of people have really, found that place, that space within that maybe it's even a trust. I don't know what, I mean.
Hello?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm here. Mm-hmm.
Hi, Kelly.
Yep.
I'm just talking about the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. One of the best movies ever, right?
Yeah. A lot of signs in it. A lot of meanings in it.
Oh, for sure.
And that's another thing with transformation, synchronicity.
Mm-hmm.
I learned somehow, I don't know how I learned. Well, I studied a little bit about Carl Jung.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really believe in synchronicity. How I got my antique store was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, I followed the sign. I was looking for a store for about 6 months. So I went back to a town in Connecticut.
Oh, I love
prior
Connecticut.
to that, I went beautiful. I went to the pharmacy there, and they didn't have the type of toothpaste I wanted. So when I went back to Connecticut, to this town, I went into an old pharmacy, and he had the toothbrush I needed. And I said, by the way, by the way, do you know any store for it? And he said, did you see the paper? I said, what paper? He's leaving in 2 weeks.
Oh,
So,
my word.
I highly recommend synchronicity to everybody. With a clear heart and a clear mind. Follow the signs.
Right. And they are there, right?
Yeah.
They are there. So what is it, Carol, for our listeners, if they are wondering, how do you follow the signs? What has to be there? Like, how do you follow the signs?
Well, let's say you're not sure. I'll give you an example. If you should buy or rent.
Okay.
And, you're not sure, right? So you're walking down the street and you met an old friend and she's talking about, oh my God, I rented and I'm so happy. I don't have all this responsibility. All right. And then you go home and then a few days later they have a program on renting versus buying.
Mm.
And then later there's a newspaper article on it. So it's continuous signs pushing you, nudging you.
Right.
Right. Without you creating it, but simply following it.
Right. Just allowing it to be.
Created.
Right.
And
allowing it. Right. And without getting that itty bitty, what I call shitty committee inside the knitter natter pitter patter brain that, tries to, logically reason us out of, oh, that can't be. So that's not happening. Right. It's just one of those situations where we go, oh my gosh, I can't believe what just happened. It's that, is that really what it is about? And then, yeah. So you're right. It's signs everywhere, sign. Are you still with me?